Cast your mind back to 1972, when a group of MIT researchers embarked on a project that's still sparking conversations today. They were futurists, in a sense, trying to chart our course into the coming years. Their findings? They pointed to the possibility that the society we're familiar with might start unraveling by 2040. That's a heavy thought, isn't it? But let's not jump to conclusions. We are not here to spread fear or sensationalize the issue like a scene from a dystopian movie. Our goal is to sift through the data, to understand the implications of such a forecast. So, have you heard about this prediction from some MIT whizzes back in '72? They dropped this report, Limits to Growth, and it's all about whether they can keep living larger and larger. We've had a wild run this past century, right? Life's been getting better for loads of people, and it's been pretty amazing to see. But it's got everyone wondering, can we keep this up? Or are we heading for a big oops moment where everything just can't keep going up and up? Now let's dig a little deeper into what it really means if our growth turns out to be a bubble ready to burst. When they talk about society collapsing, they don't mean your Wi-Fi going out for a few hours. They're talking about a world where the things we count on every day, like hospitals, schools, and even our local grocery stores could fall apart. Imagine a world where the basics, like a glass of water or a peaceful neighborhood, are no longer a given. That's heavy stuff. Consider for a moment a future where the simple comforts we take for granted are no longer available. It's a real shock to consider. If society were to collapse, we'd be looking at a world where the population plummets and the standard of living takes a nosedive. Those services we see as basic human rights, healthcare, education, and consistent access to necessities, could suddenly become a luxury out of reach for the average person. Alright, let's talk about our planet for a sec. The whole climate change situation is more than just back and forth arguments. It's a serious heads up for us. If we keep turning a blind eye to the environmental red flags waving at us, we're in for a rough ride. Take deforestation for example. It's not just about losing a bunch of trees. When we mess with nature by chopping down forests, it's like knocking over the first domino in a long line. It starts a whole chain of events that can really shake things up in our world. Think about it. When things get tight, like when there's not enough to go around or money problems are piling up, people get tense. It's like the threads holding our society together start to pull apart. And the places we look to for keeping everything running smoothly, they might just not be able to keep up. This can mean we see more fights, people having to leave their homes to find a better life, and just a lot of worry and uncertainty all around. It's a tough picture, but it's important to talk about it, you know? But hold on. Let's contrast this doomsday scenario with the past century. It's been a wild ride of progress. We've seen tech go bananas with innovation, medicine making diseases do a disappearing act, and science dropping knowledge bombs that change our lives for the better. People are living like never before, longer, healthier, and smarter. Poverty's been taking a hit, education is on the rise, and we're more connected than a bunch of teenagers on social media. However, the Limits to Growth report adds a sobering note to our celebration. It's akin to the prudent friend cautioning you to think about your savings during a shopping spree. The report acknowledges our impressive growth, but warns of its potential consequences. It suggests that while we're enjoying the high life, we are simultaneously burdening our planet. It poses a critical question. Is our way of life sustainable for Earth in the long run? Share your thoughts on this in the comments below. Yet not everyone was convinced by the projections of the MIT team. Critics were quick to jump on the report, with some saying the model was too simplistic, too pessimistic, or didn't account for the dynamic nature of human innovation and adaptation. Indeed, when the New York Times reviewed the report, it didn't pull any punches, reflecting on the broader skepticism of the time. Fast forward to the early 21st century, and updates to the original model have given us a bit more nuance. Around 2020, the updated model suggested a plateau in global welfare, with a potential downturn kicking in by 2030 if we stuck to our old ways. Yet it wasn't all gloomy forecasts. The model also presented a stabilized world scenario, where strategic changes could keep us on a high welfare track. The debate around the limits to growth and its predictions has never really cooled off. It's a hot topic on platforms like Medium, where articles dissect the report's legacy and relevance. And it's not just a historical footnote. As early as January 1973, documents on ResearchGate show that the report was a lightning rod for criticism. As we cast our gaze forward, it's crucial to recognize the inherent uncertainties in predicting the future. It's like trying to predict the outcome of a football game where the rules constantly change. The MIT study was groundbreaking, sure, but it wasn't a prophecy etched in stone. It was more like a complex game of SimCity, with researchers plugging in data to see what might happen if we keep playing the game without hitting the save button. And here's the kicker. The study didn't just predict one single future. It showed us a spectrum of possibilities, a smorgasbord of what-ifs. The goal wasn't to throw us into a pit of despair, but to shine a light on the path we were on, and maybe, just maybe, nudge us onto a different, more sustainable track. Critics of the limits to growth have a point when they say that the study might have underestimated our knack for getting out of tight spots. Humans are pretty good at coming up with genius hacks when the going gets tough. The study's business-as-usual scenario didn't take into account our potential to innovate, adapt, and switch up the game plan. And guess what? Some of those scary predictions haven't come to pass. We're not saying the study was all smoke and mirrors, but it's a reminder that we have the power to change the ending of our story. The follow-up study in 2021 gave us a bit of a breather, showing that the worst-case scenarios weren't matching up with where we are now. That's a bit of good news, but let's be clear. It's not a green light to continue with business as usual. So what's the next chapter in our story? It starts with recognition. We must come to terms with the fact that if we maintain our present course, the future might not shine as brightly as we envision. This isn't about spreading doom, but about facing reality head on. Alright, let's talk about what comes next. Education. We need to understand the issues at play. Not just the science behind them, but the economics, the sociology, and the politics. We need to be informed citizens of the world, equipped to make decisions that aren't just good for the short term, but sustainable in the long term. From education comes action. This is where things get exciting, because it means there's hope. There are countless initiatives and movements aimed at creating a more sustainable future. Renewable energy technologies such as solar and wind power are becoming more efficient and affordable. There is a growing awareness of the importance of sustainable agriculture, of preserving our forests, and of protecting our oceans. And let's not forget the power of innovation. Human ingenuity has solved countless problems in the past, and there's no reason to believe it won't continue to do so. From advancements in battery storage to the development of alternative proteins to feed a growing population, the solutions are out there. We just need to be bold enough to pursue them. But innovation isn't just about technology. It's also about policy and lifestyle changes. It's about creating economies that value sustainability, communities that prioritize resilience, and individuals who embrace conservation as a way of life. This brings us to the role of individuals, you and me. It's easy to feel powerless in the face of global issues, but the choices we make every day matter. So what can we as individuals actually do? It might seem like our solo efforts are just a drop in the ocean, but hey, the ocean is made up of drops, right? It starts with the small stuff, turning off the lights when we leave a room, recycling our soda cans, choosing to walk or bike instead of driving for short trips. These are the no-brainers, and they add up. But the story doesn't end with just flipping switches or sorting out trash. It's bigger than that. It's also about the choices we make on how we vote, what we buy, and the values we live by. When we choose products that are made sustainably, or when we support companies that are all about green energy, we're sending a message. We're saying, this matters to us. And when enough of us send that message, it becomes a roar that businesses and governments can't ignore. Now let's talk about spreading the word. It's one thing to make changes in our own lives, but it's another to inspire others to do the same. Share what you know with friends and family. Post about it on your social media. Maybe even start a blog or a vlog if you're feeling fancy. The more we talk about sustainability and the impact of our actions, the more we create a culture that values our planet and our future. As we continue this conversation, let's remember that it's not about assigning blame for the challenges we face. It's about taking responsibility for the solutions. It's about coming together, regardless of our background or beliefs, to create a world that's not just survivable, but thriving for generations to come. So, are you ready to make your splash? Let's do this. For our planet, for our future. And if you've been inspired, intrigued, or even just entertained, don't just sit there. Be a part of the wave. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more content like this. Keep that awareness shining bright, and let's craft a future that'll make us all proud. See you in the next video.